when we can sort of identify the best content and the best contributors, promote it off the site, we're able to generate much, much more attention on the best content than even the same video will do sitting on YouTube.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 84. Are you looking for a place to show off your high-quality drone videos? Then you're going to enjoy hearing from today's guest. Mike Israel is an avid drone enthusiast and RC pilot who in 2015 founded the online drone video sharing platform AirVuz. Prior to founding AirVuz, Mike was a managing director and co-founder of Mill City Capital LP, a leading private equity firm based in Minneapolis. Since its launch, AirVuz has become the premier online community for sharing and viewing aerial video content from around the world. In this show, Mike talks about AirVuz, what differentiates it from other video sharing platforms, and how drone pilots can benefit by sharing their content with us and with the rest of the world. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Mike to introduce himself.
My name is Mike Israel. I started AirVuz in mid-2015 as basically an online video platform that was exclusively focused on drone video content. And the president and CEO, we've got a team of about close to 24 people here in Minneapolis.
How did the idea of creating a website for drone videos come to you?
I've been into RC planes and helicopters for years. And when the camera quadcopters started becoming attainable a few years ago, I just sort of had this idea that sort of a new media form that greatly expands the possibility of what people can do in terms of video content. And through another prior life, had an investment in a company that was kind of on the product side, sort of on the fringe of it, and gave me the idea to start this platform, which became AirVuz. But the idea really was to sort of capitalize on the fact that, for the first time, you have this ability to essentially take a high-def camera, put it in the air, and just do things with it that either were prohibitively expensive before or just not possible at all because of the physics of dealing with full-scale aircraft.
Now, prior to AirVuz, YouTube was the primary place where people would post their videos. Why wasn't YouTube enough in your mind?
The issue with YouTube, obviously, there's a ton of drone video content there. The problem, I think, is it just gets lost. And we just see time and time again where you've got this incredible content that because it's just a universal platform and there's, I don't know how many hundreds of hours of video that are getting uploaded every minute, that this type of content, outside of the rare kind of viral video, it tends to get lost. The contributors, even though they're doing incredible things, unless they're really actively promoting it, the content just, even though you can find it if you're looking for it, if you're just sort of looking for high quality drone videos, the YouTube experience is not optimal. And there's a fair amount of the content on Vimeo as well, but it's kind of the same issue where if you have a universal platform, it works fine if you're looking for something specific, but if you're just looking to spend 10 or 20 minutes or an hour just browsing through different types of drone videos and maybe in particular categories, it's much easier to do that with a niche platform. And I think being in it now for over a year and a half, I feel better and better about that proposition because time and time again we see when we can sort of identify the best content and the best contributors, promote it off the site, which is another thing that obviously YouTube is not going to do, we're able to generate much, much more attention on kind of the best content than even the same video will do sitting on YouTube. We've got videos that have many, many tens of thousands of views that have been sitting on YouTube for a comparable period of time and might have a few hundred views. The other thing that I think distinguishes us pretty significantly is we have a whole line of original programming that is exclusive to AirVuz, and what ties it all together essentially is we're basically taking the best contributors and their best content and putting some production around it. So we've got a series that's just focused on the kind of the best aerial videographers, some of the best aerial videographers in the world, and it's a Skype interview type format with a lot of the actual content being clips from that particular contributor, and to turn it into a 6, 8, 10-minute web series, and it gets more visibility for the contributor. It's a way to take their content and make it a bit more accessible to people that aren't necessarily flying drones themselves, because you're putting a human face on it. You're showing this is this person, they're talking about what they're doing. While they're talking about it, the video overlay is some of their highlight clips from their best videos. And that's just one example, but we've got 7 different web series that we do that are essentially all kind of similar in that respect, in that, it's all about drone video. It's low budget but high quality, I think, in terms of the production quality. And if you watch it, the majority of what you're actually seeing in these episodes is the best video content that's coming from our users and putting their face on it and giving them kind of personal exposure. So it's almost a little bit like a Netflix component to this, and that's something that YouTube just isn't going to do as more of a universal platform.
You mentioned a couple of things that I want to drill down a little deeper, if I could.
Sure.
The first is, by creating a platform where all the drone videos can be housed, aren't you a little bit at risk of becoming like YouTube, having all that content in one spot, and then people still have to search for it? How do you make sure that people can find the content easily, or highlight the content that people want to find?
So a couple of things. One is just in YouTube, I think they have a couple dozen different categories for all the different videos, and given the scope of what's on YouTube, the categories really don't mean anything. If you take the whole world and divide it up into 25 pieces, each piece is so big that if you're looking in that particular category, it's probably not what you're looking for, which is why it just doesn't really, it's there, but people don't really use it that much. In the drone world, we've got a couple dozen different categories, and they really do mean something. So like cities and skylines. And if you go to that, what you'll see is drone videos of different city skylines around the world. There's a couple that are sort of sports related, one on beaches and boats and that kind of thing. So these are high level, very easy to navigate categories. So if you go into any one of them, what you will see is really kind of what the category says. It's a drone video of golf courses or whatever it is. And we could have hundreds of thousands of videos on the site. I think those categories will still work pretty well. The other big element is we have, because of the fact that it's a niche site, we're never going to have tens of thousands of uploads a day. We can actually really curate everything that comes on the site. So we have, a couple of people whose main function is to be just looking at every video to essentially be pulling out, what we would consider to be the highest quality stuff. And we've got just various algorithms that we've developed to make sure that people come onto the site, whether they're just looking in these categories or they're doing searches or whatever it is, that what they're seeing is what we would deem to be sort of the highest quality content. So the up next queue, what you will see, and it's not perfect yet, but I think it's getting better, certainly by the week. If you're watching a drone video of Paris or something like that, what you will get in your up next queue is basically curated videos, high quality videos that are very closely related to whatever it is that you're watching. So it might be the same city, it might be Europe, it might be other skyline videos, but the ability to do that with human judgment and people going through and looking at the videos and tagging what's in it to make sure that it, we can pick it up properly. We can do that cost effectively, and I think deliver a really what amounts to a superior user viewing experience, because YouTube, as many computers as they have and everything else, they don't have the ability to actually say, this is a really good video, this is a so-so video, and we can, and I think we can continue to do that, even as the upload volume grows. I suspect more or less indefinitely.
I mean, nothing compares to the human eye and being able to really look at something
Right.
and say that this is really different or that this video rises to the top. I can see that by curating the videos, as your staff does, the viewer is pretty well assured that they're going to see something of high quality content almost all the time.
Right. And just the ability to, the fact that it's only drone videos, that helps a lot too, obviously. If you go on YouTube, a lot of times it's not even really a drone video. There might be some drone video component to it, but we're sort of starting with just a much narrower domain of content. And then, like you said, just the ability to say, this one is really, really good. And I have to say we're getting videos uploaded on the site every day that are just literally just stunning from all four corners of the earth.
Can you talk more about the original content? How do you decide to create an original content series?
The original idea, or the first thing we started with, was a news concept. It's called AirVuz News. And, it's really intended to cover stories in the drone industry, but really focused on things that have a video component to them. So, a lot of it is creating a little news story around some viral video that somebody created. If they're not already a contributor, we'll reach out to that person. We'll do an interview. We'll get them to upload whatever video it is that went viral, and maybe a few more. Essentially just create a bit of a narrative and an interview storyline around that video. That was kind of where we started, and we're doing probably 4 or 5 of those stories every week. From there, we have the series called AirVuz, which is kind of like America's Funniest Home Videos, where once a month we'll pick a theme. It's a hosted show to local TV personalities, and it's basically a contest format where we'll announce, we want to see your drone submissions on a holiday theme, or it might be, one of the categories on the site. And after 3 or 4 weeks or whatever, we'll pick the best ones. There's a cash prize that we award every month. But, we're able to kind of get focused, very high quality submissions around a particular theme, and then create a little 10-minute web series episode around it. I mentioned the Drone Dish, which is essentially a Skype video interview with our best contributors and way to sort of feature them and highlight their best content. We started over the summer, I guess it was late spring, a show called Behind the Goggles, which is kind of the same thing, but it's focused on the FPV segment. A lot of times we'll tie it to a race or something, but we'll go out and do more of an in-person interview with some of the more high-profile FPV pilots. Again, it's kind of an excuse to show off their content and just, again, put a human face on it. One thing about the FPV content is for people who aren't immersed in it, the content can be compelling to watch, but I think for a lot of people, they don't really even understand what it is that they're seeing at first. So by putting the human face on it, interviewing the pilot, doing a lot of video overlays, it's a way to kind of introduce that content to a broader viewing audience. And we do those a couple times a month. We have another series that we just started posting about a month ago called Drone Tripping, which is also kind of FPV focused, but it's basically getting a group of fairly high profile FPV pilots together at a cool location and having them go fly, do some fun things, create some really cool video. It's almost like a little reality TV thing, but on a small scale. We're able to take some of these pilots they're starting to become recognized names just because of the growth of the drone racing phenomenon and the fact on ESPN now. Most of what you're watching is FPV video, but again, it's putting a little bit of a storyline around it, putting a human face on it, to some extent, just kind of piggybacking on the fact that some of these pilots are starting to pop up on different TV shows, and they love it. It's a fun way to kind of highlight the FPV content and the FPV pilots, both to people kind of within the core community and then also to people that are maybe more on the fringe of it.
That's a great menu of show ideas. Now, I think eventually we're going to hear a story about a successful videographer who points back to something they did on AirVuz that sort of helped them get to that other level. Has this happened yet? Have there been any stories of somebody who has moved their career a little bit further along after posting on AirVuz?
I think to some extent it's sort of happening every day. And, I guess the other theme here that's worth mentioning is with the growth of the high-end consumer drones and just the really high-quality content, we're seeing a lot of people who picked this up as a hobby who are now starting to make businesses and make careers out of it. And I think even on the FPV side, it's a little different, but it's kind of the same thing where you're taking a hobby and as it grows, sort of the best people rise to the top. They're able to actually have it turn into something that's more of a profession. What we're trying to do with the original programming and with some of the site enhancements that we're going to be adding here in the not too distant future, we're trying to essentially become a place and a platform where people who have those aspirations can get more exposure showing up in original programming, even though it's not like a TV network size audience. It is growing, and it's a way for them to just essentially get more exposure for themselves and what it is that they're doing. Look at the people that we feature on Drone Dish and some of these other shows that we have. I don't know if I'd say that it's because of AirVuz, but they're definitely becoming more well-known with the FAA rules, making it easier to do this commercially. We're seeing just an explosion in terms of people that are just migrating from the sort of the hobby end to the professional end. You know, it isn't necessarily a matter of becoming famous, but just becoming well-known enough that people that are looking for people to do commercial shoots and, you know, other business-related drone activity, you know, our hope is that this will become a place where those people can get found and get hired.
A big part of the success of the site, obviously, are the people that come and view the videos. Mm-hmm. What can you tell us about the AirVuz community?
I just give you a few sort of numbers. I mean, I think we've got about 15,000 videos that have been uploaded to the site so far, and it's growing by the day. And we'll have sometimes 80 or 100 videos uploaded on a single day. So the library of content is growing. In terms of the site traffic, we will be close to 1 million visitors here in December. No doubt we'll break through that level in January. We're pacing actually a little bit above 1 million visitors a month. And depending on which ranking authority you look at, I think we're in the very top of the group of kind of drone-related websites. Obviously, we're nowhere near the size of Vimeo or YouTube, and we never will be. But I think we've got very good momentum in terms of just the number of people that are coming to the site. Our registered user base is approaching 20,000. You know, you need the contributors for the content. You need the audience. They're kind of symbiotic. If you've got more eyeballs, you're going to get more content. The more content you have, the more people are going to want to come to the site. I think it sets up pretty well for 2017. The other thing is kind of related to all this is we have a very heavy social media presence. Even before the site really started to get serious traffic, we've been able to build up a very substantial following on Facebook. I think we hit 1 million followers back around the May-June time period. I think we're up to maybe 1.1 million or something like that now. And we really use that audience. We do a lot of just daily featuring of the best contributors, the best content. Also on Instagram, where we've got about 50,000 followers. And going back to the YouTube question, I think another thing that distinguishes us is just our ability and willingness and desire to use our social media following as a way to promote the best contributors and the best content, and eventually draw those people onto the site and become daily or weekly active users, which is where a lot of the traffic is coming from.
What would you say to someone that is thinking about posting a video on AirVuz? Like, what makes a really compelling video?
It's interesting because you sort of have ideas about sort of, you know, this is really good, this is average, this is exceptional. And because of the way that we're promoting the site, which is with more than anything with a lot of Facebook ads, you learn a lot about what keeps people's attention. With these different advertising platforms, you get a ton of information about, are people actually watching this, or are they just tuning in for 5 seconds and then going on to something else? And I think what we're finding is, in some respects, it's not too surprising. I mean, high quality 4K video is great. Unusual places draw interest. I think some of the things that are maybe not quite as obvious is videos where there's a lot of transitions. Movement helps. These sort of static shots of, you know, hovering over a beach or something, people kind of move on after a while. But if it's got kind of an opening dramatic shot and then there's different transitions and it flows well and it's not 10 minutes long, but not 20 seconds long. I mean, 2, 3, 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes seems to be ideal. And, it doesn't have to be the most exotic place in the world, but just showing things from a different aerial angles, things that involve people seem to do well. I think people just kind of connect with it better. The shots where there's some sort of human component to the content, that certainly helps. And then just doesn't have to be movie quality editing, but just decent editing, let's say decent transitions, not having a lot of dead time where there isn't movement in terms of what people are seeing. I think those things all make a big difference in terms of just what people want to see.
I suppose if you have all those elements and throw a couple of puppies in there, you'd have something really big.
Yeah. And, like I said, people, boats, people love skylines. Mountains do exceptionally well. We try to organize the site so that whatever it is that catches people's attention, that they can easily find more of that. And like I said, the curation, as we get better and better at appreciating what people want to see, I think the curation will hopefully reflect that.
A little bit about the business itself. What have been some of the challenges in creating this platform?
Just from a technical standpoint, we use Amazon Web Services as the back end for the videos, which has been a terrific platform, but just getting it configured in a way that people that are not in the United States can have a good user experience in terms of fast page load speeds and things like that. That's definitely taken some time to figure out. I think from the beginning, really tried to focus on making sure that we have a very high quality user experience in terms of not having to sit and wait a long time for a page load, not having buffering and so forth as the video plays. And it's taken a little bit of time to figure that out. We now have an exceptionally fast site in terms of, how quickly the pages load, how quickly the videos start playing, wherever you are. I think in terms of the whole curation piece and really trying to understand what it is that people like to see, what holds people's attention, and then curating the library in such a way that we're making it as easy as possible to see and define that highest quality content. It's taken some time to figure out, turning people from just viewers that might just come by to check it out. They see it on a Facebook ad and they want to see what it's about, and turning them into returning visitors that want to actually become registered users on the site. We have smartphone apps that will be released here very shortly. We think that that's going to be an important element in terms of just getting people to come back to the site on an unaided basis. Each of the original programming concepts has been a few months in sort of the conception and then figuring out, what we want it to look like, refining it, deciding what we want to do next. So it's certainly been busy here for the last, especially the last 9 months to a year, as we've, just tackled these different challenges. But we've got a great team, and I've been, couldn't be happier with sort of how we've dealt with all these things.
Are you able to talk about the business model at all? About how it's set up and how it's designed to generate revenue?
Sure. So, right now it is still very much still a pre-revenue business. I think we see a number of different paths here, but what I think we're going to be able to avoid is having a site that just kind of gets filled up with ads and banners and things like that, because one of the things that we want to try to maintain is sort of a clean-looking site and not having people constantly bombarded with advertisements for things that they may or may not be interested in. I think when the time comes, the monetization is going to be, I think, more, maybe subtle is the right word, but we see an opportunity for a lot of kind of integrated advertising that maybe won't feel like advertising. If you look at our site, it's content that kind of lends itself to being sponsored in a pretty non-obtrusive way. The easiest one is sort of the travel-related stuff, where what we see is, an opportunity to go to resorts, to go to travel bureaus, airlines, and essentially get them to pay some money. Some of that would go back to the contributors, but to basically get content that maybe looks just like it does. Maybe it's got a little bit more, it's at a Marriott or Sandals Resort or something. It's maybe a little bit more clear where it is, but not in an intrusive kind of a way, and essentially becomes a commercial for that place that is just integral to the content. It doesn't get blocked because there's no incentive to try to block that, because it's what people are actually wanting to watch. And we've gotten hundreds, if not thousands, of videos of people taking drone videos of cars and other sort of moving vehicles. It's the same thing. It's, you take a cool drone video of your Audi or your whatever it is, essentially you're making a commercial for that. And with just a little bit of tweaking to the format and maybe just thinking about it as a commercial, it can become a commercial. And I think as our audience grows and as we get more of these contributors, we're going to be able to approach some of the, whether it's cars or ATVs or boats or whatever, and to essentially say, we've got people that are making this incredible content with your product in it. We'd like to have you pay something so that this content will rise to the top of the heap in terms of what people see. We'll figure out a way to pass some of that on to the contributor so that they can get some of the benefit of that. And we'll obviously keep some for being in the middle of it. And I can see a whole model develop of this really deeply integrated, essentially product placement in these videos. So I think, ultimately that's going to be probably a primary monetization path for this. In addition to that, we certainly see an opportunity to work with what I call the endemic sponsors. The drone companies and the people that make the actual drone equipment that's being used in these videos, but to do it in a less intrusive way where somebody watches a video and they want to know what kind of equipment was that or what was the type of drone used. You'd be able to see it. There maybe would be a link to that manufacturer's website or retailer or whatever, but it wouldn't be hitting people over the head with it. It would be taking the people that really are interested in how did they make that and creating a referral opportunity out of that where we get paid something for sending traffic to different people's websites. The other thing which I think we're going to be able to do sooner rather than later is provide a means for contributors just to sell stock footage off of the site for actual commercial use, and obviously split that with the contributor. But we think that there's going to be an opportunity to give the contributors a way to help monetize what they're doing, and also give us a means to just monetize the traffic on the site. I think those are really probably going to be the main paths to a revenue model here.
What's this experience been like for you personally, to see your idea actually move forward and to find so much acceptance by the community?
Oh, it's been great. It certainly hasn't been like a straight line, but I think just in general, it's been just incredible to see some content just start to pop up on the site on a daily and hourly basis from all over the world. Nobody's been doing this that long, right? Because the technology just hasn't been that accessible for very long. But to see people go out and buy a DJI Mavic, never having done it before, and create these just incredible videos, which can be posted on the site and seen and pushed out to a bigger audience, has been just fun to see. The whole FPV phenomenon and the fact that people didn't know what drone racing was a year and a half ago, and to see some of the FPV pilots that we sponsor showing up on ESPN has been very satisfying to see and just fun to watch. And I think just watching what's happening with the loosening of the commercial regulations in the United States and just seeing these people that took this up as a hobby, something they really got into, and to be able to turn it into a business and to have us be somewhat part of that and helping to promote that has been very satisfying to watch. So it's been a blast.
Is there anything I missed that we should talk about?
So I guess the one thing that we talked about the original programming, and this is a little bit, I wouldn't necessarily call it original programming, but we have a couple of people on our team that, in addition to some of the things that they do in the office, they're very good drone pilots and aerial videographers themselves. So we're doing quite a bit in terms of taking advantage of one-off opportunities to film different things, mostly stuff that's here in Minneapolis, but not entirely. And whether it's getting into the U.S. Bank Stadium where the Vikings play, which just opened up this fall, to film it. We've done some things for the Ryder Cup that was here, and the course had us essentially fly over all the holes. And we've got a whole section of the site that's just golf courses. And to have that footage beyond the TV broadcast, it's just another kind of component to what we're doing. And it's a way to just take advantage of the fact that we've got these highly qualified drone pilots that are on our team, and just giving them opportunities to go out and work with these different venues to get some of this great aerial videos. It's been a lot of fun too.
Sounds like you also have an in-house production crew that could, at least one day, maybe generate revenue as well down the road.
Yeah, that's possible. That I think we're thinking about it now. It's more just a way to get some good content on the site, and not really thinking about it as a revenue thing. But as we do more and more, we get different venues approaching us and saying, would you come out and do this and different winter festivals. And I think next summer, there's a lot of big outdoor music festivals and things like that. And we're getting people that are actually approaching us about, would you come out and film this? It makes for very good content.
And my final question, what do you hope the lasting impact of AirVuz will be on the drone industry and on drone users?
If it kind of just draws people into the activity, either just to watch the content or eventually maybe to becoming a drone pilot themselves, I think we would feel good if that happened. Certainly, I think having this become kind of a hub for the people that are, say, migrating from more hobbyist type use to having it become more of a profession. I think if we can play some role in helping people fulfill that dream that they have, that would certainly make us very happy and feel like this has been a very worthwhile exercise apart from the economics to us.
That's it for episode 84 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Mike Israel of AirVuz and learning about the company and how we can share our drone videos with the world. If you want more information on AirVuz, check out their website at airvuz.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a positive review on iTunes. It really does help. And thanks for listening, and I hope you'll tune in for more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.